Hey everyone, in the news this week. The actor Val Kilmer passed away. He was famous from films like Top Gun or Batman Forever, or as it's now known, Batman Not Forever. For what it's worth, I'm not surprised. He was coughing his guts out in Tombstone. That was over 30 years ago. Anyway, his agent says he's set to star in Heat 2, which is out next week at the crematorium. Elsewhere, China banned cigarette smoking in schools. Luckily for the children, though, it will still be permitted in the workplace. And Marine Le Pen was banned from running for election next time because the authorities have had to stop democracy to protect it, or some such nonsense. For what it's worth, she was technically guilty of the crime, though, and to paraphrase the old expression, Le Pen is not mightier than Le Fraud. However, this week's big story was the tariffs that President Trump imposed on foreign imports. Higher taxes and protection for US blue-collar jobs. It's a policy that everyone from Barack Obama to Nancy Pelosi have spent half a century arguing for, but because Trump did it, it's a bad thing now, apparently. Anyway, the products really fall into two categories. Number one, a tax on cheap Chinese tats, stuff like $5 t-shirts at Walmart. I joked a minute ago about the Chinese children smoking in factories, but that really is what fuels the cheap clothing market, and if you believe in a fair wage for a fair day's work, then there's literally no other reason than exploitation, and that explains why clothes are made in the Far East, along with all the plastic junk that your kids buy. There's an old Ricky Gervais joke where he's shown the artwork that a friend's child made, to which he says that it's rubbish and points at the quality stitching that a 5-year-old made when he was making his jacket. The other category, number two, is fancy European stuff. For the people who live in America but build their entire lifestyle and public perception about how they drive an Audi or only drink French wine, or they join a conversation about the Super Bowl purely in order to shut it down and explain that they don't watch sports at all, and if they do, it's the English Premier League. In some respects, I imagine that those sort of people will actually welcome the price increases so that it becomes less attainable by the riffraff, the sort of plebs that had to work for their money or whose parents didn't get them a place at college by writing an inordinately large cheque to the Dean of Admissions. As for the reaction, I thought it was comical. Irish leader Michael Martin said that his goal is, quote, to protect Irish jobs in the Irish economy, except he has no such powers. That would be decided by people in Brussels. Giorgia Meloni said that her administration will do, quote, everything we can to work towards an agreement with the United States, except she can't do a single thing because she's in the EU and those decisions are similarly made by unelected people in Brussels, who have literally nothing to lose and everything to gain by being as obstinate and attention-seeking as possible. On the other hand, the UK is literally being offered either a 10% rate or even a 0% tariff rate, a free trade deal, but it would be conditional on things like free speech and not, as an example, prosecuting people for praying inside their own house, which is what the Scottish police have actually done recently. As an example of how the British government works, it reminds me of the joke where Keir Starmer sees an old lady struggling with 2 shopping bags in the street, so he goes up to her and offers to lighten the burden by cutting her pension in half so she can only afford 1 bag of shopping next week. Anyway, see you next week. If you like these, click subscribe.